Luis ordered me to be transferred to a branch office in another city. Having her cling to me every day is honestly getting a bit annoying. That's what he told others. The disappointment that had been building up for so long finally reached its peak in that moment. Suddenly, I felt like letting myself go. I obeyed the transfer order and left quietly. After I got used to living alone in a different place, Luis, however, started visiting me frequently without getting tired of it. He said, "So this is what it feels like to miss someone." Chapter 1. From the moment I stepped through the company gates this morning, everyone I encountered greeted me with congratulations. When I entered the office, my mentor, who was also the company's design director, Old Young, patted me on the shoulder. His eyes filled with encouragement. "Elena, from now on you'll be fighting solo. Good luck. I believe in your abilities." I was baffled. "Mentor, what are you talking about?" "The announcement in the company group chat. You didn't see it?" He looked just as surprised. "Was it sent this morning?" I was driving and didn't check my phone. As I spoke, I lit up my phone screen, zooming in on the announcement image. I read the content word by word. It felt like I'd been hit with a paralysis spell. I couldn't move for a long time. "Elena, you're just finding out about this reassignment now? Didn't Mr. Yi discuss it with you before finalizing it?" His voice snapped me back to reality. I forced a stiff smile, awkwardly tugging at the corners of my lips. "Oh, he mentioned it briefly before. I was busy at the time. Didn't really listen carefully." I instinctively tried to cover for Luis Yi, preserving what little dignity I had left. In truth, I had only just found out about this. All I knew was that Luis had originally selected another experienced designer from our department for this position. I had no idea why he suddenly switched to me. I was a senior designer in the RD department at the group's headquarters and also Luis's girlfriend. Without any discussion or my consent, he directly issued a transfer notice, assigning me to the branch office in the neighboring city as design director. Sure, it was a promotion from a long-term perspective. It was also a rare opportunity for my career development, but it did not comply with the company's internal transfer procedures. Both professionally and personally, Luis owed me an explanation, but I couldn't reach him. All day long, I couldn't get through to his phone. His assistant only responded politely but evasively. "Mr. Yi is on a business trip. He specifically requested his itinerary to remain confidential." "Sorry, Designer Wan. As a subordinate, I can only follow orders. I can't reach him either right now. But don't worry, once I do, I'll immediately report that you were trying to contact him." That practiced perfunctory tone sounded just like they were brushing off those small-time bosses who had favors to ask of Luis. I understood now. Luis was avoiding me. Chapter 2. Luis knew very well that after issuing this transfer notice, I would definitely come looking for him. Maybe he hadn't figured out how to explain it yet. Or maybe he simply couldn't be bothered to deal with me, so he just disappeared. After work, I drifted home in a daze. Then I got a call from a close friend, telling me she had seen Luis at a newly opened club owned by one of her relatives. "Could you do me a favor and ask that relative which private room Luis is in?" "Thanks a lot." After hanging up, I rushed to the club in a taxi. On the way, my friend sent me the name of Luis's private room. Standing outside the room, I took a deep breath, grasped the handle, and gently turned it. Just as I pushed the door open a crack, I heard their voices loud and clear. "You really transferred Elena Fu to the branch office in City C?" It was Dominic, Luis's childhood buddy and also a minor shareholder in our group. "Yeah," Luis replied nonchalantly. "I mean, you guys have been together since forever. Now you'll be in different cities. You're really okay with that?" Luis paused for a moment, his tone casual and dismissive. Having her cling to me all the time is kind of annoying. My hand on the doorknob suddenly tightened. What if she refuses? Aren't you afraid she'll cause a scene? The branch office urgently needs someone. She's not the kind of person who'd disregard the bigger picture. Even if she can't reach me, she'll show up on Monday like clockwork. Luis's tone was light but certain. I let out a cold laugh. Should I be touched that he knew me so well? The director of the City C branch had recently been poached by a rival company with a sky-high offer, leaving behind a complete mess waiting to be cleaned up. Even if I couldn't reach Luis, even without his explanation, I had indeed planned to report to the branch office next Monday. He wasn't wrong. My sense of responsibility wouldn't let me ignore the chaos in the branch's design department. That place couldn't afford to wait. I had thought that if I really couldn't find him, I'd just hold the fort there for now. Once a suitable replacement was found, they could transfer me back. Besides me, who only wanted to stay by Luis's side, other designers wouldn't have rejected such a promotion. But when I heard him say, "Having her cling to me is kind of annoying," all of a sudden, I felt like I had lost all the courage to keep chasing after him. For the past 2 years, I had felt Luis's growing impatience with me, but I only felt a little disappointed and comforted myself that even the most passionate love would eventually cool down. That was normal. We had been together for so long. After all, no one could keep the spark alive forever, right? But now, without any warning, I felt completely deflated. Maybe it was the culmination of all the disappointments that had silently accumulated over time, finally reaching their peak at this moment. Suddenly, I wanted to let myself go. I didn't want to keep making excuses for him. I couldn't keep deceiving myself. I had to face reality. Luis didn't love me anymore. He was tired of our relationship. Chapter 3. In the end, I didn't walk into that private room. Was there still anything left to explain? I didn't want to humiliate myself. My hand slowly slipped off the doorknob, and I turned away. In the following days, I was swamped with work, busy handing over my current projects, going through various procedural formalities, busy packing my luggage, buying daily necessities, shipping packages. Although the branch office in City C wasn't large, it was in a period of rapid growth, a place where I'd have room to prove myself. I thought, maybe I would be staying there for a long time. I might even settle down there eventually. I had to plan carefully, prepare everything thoroughly. On Sunday, I drove alone to City C. Monday morning, I reported to the company on time. From then on, I buried myself in work, overwhelmed by endless tasks. The mess left behind by the former director, who had abruptly jumped ship, was enough to keep me too busy to think about anything else. By the time everything was finally in order, more than a month had passed. Only then did I realize that Luis and I had not been in contact for over a month. In the past, that would have been unimaginable for me. But now that it had happened, it didn't seem like such a big deal. Once upon a time, I had wished I could cling to Luis every moment, never spending even a day apart from him. Now, after more than a month of no contact, my life went on as usual, without the slightest discomfort. I hadn't even had a single night of insomnia. What was even more surprising was that during this time, I rarely even thought of him. Chapter 4. With the work finally settled, I could finally take a breather. That night, I invited my department colleagues out for a dinner gathering. One of them, whose work often required liaising with headquarters, shared some news. I heard the HQ administration department parachuted in a new manager. Big shot. Apparently. What's her name again? Right. Rita. On her first day, Mr. Yi personally brought her into the company. Rita. I froze for a moment. It had been a long time since I'd heard that name. No wonder. I chuckled lightly. The answer I had never gotten was now suddenly clear. Mr. Yi personally brought her in? She must be a big deal then. How old is this manager Yang? Is she pretty? The younger girls in the department started gossiping. Probably about the same age as Mr. Yi. Fair-skinned, beautiful, long legs. Could she be Mr. Ye's girlfriend? Not sure, but I heard Mr. Yi already has a steady girlfriend. Really? By the way, Director Fu, you used to work at HQ. Have you ever met Mr. Ye's girlfriend? A few pairs of eyes turned to me all at once, sparkling with curiosity. I played dumb. I'm not really sure, but honestly, I think our Director Fu and Mr. Yi would make a perfect couple. Handsome guy, beautiful girl. That picture of you two standing together was such eye candy. I still have it saved on my phone. One female colleague blurted out unexpectedly. Someone exclaimed in surprise. What? Director Fu and Mr. Yi have a photo together? It's not just the two of them. There were others in the photo, but they stood out the most. I stumbled upon it while browsing the company's official account. They looked so good together that, as a face-obsessed fangirl, I saved it. She took out her phone and showed the picture. Everyone craned their necks to look. Mr. Ye's body seems to be leaning toward Director Fu. They really look perfect together, right? I even secretly shipped them as a CP back then. I glanced at the photo and instantly remembered when it had been taken. 3 years ago, when I had just joined the group. It happened to be during the product launch event. At the time, I had asked Luis to keep our relationship under wraps. Office romances were always the target of gossip, especially since Luis Yu was the company's president. I didn't want to become the subject of my colleagues' tea time conversations. Luis had been sulking for a while about it, complaining that he couldn't openly visit me at work, couldn't even have meals with me, as if we were having some underground romance. That day at the launch, the media had come to take photos. Our RD department designers were lined up, and Luis came over last. But instead of standing in the center as expected, he deliberately stood beside me as if by chance. Old Yang tried to pull him to the center position, but he refused, saying, "You're the star of today's launch. You should be in the center." While saying that, he intentionally leaned his body toward me. I lowered my head and discreetly shuffled a step away. Suddenly, a hand reached behind and grabbed mine. I froze, turning to look at him. He, however, kept a straight face, presenting a standard business smile to the camera. No one knew that the prestigious Mr. Yu was holding a girl's hand behind his back while facing the cameras. Just like that, the photo was taken and later posted on the company's official account. Looking back now, I had to admit I could feel that Luis did love me once. But time, though it seemed gentle, was actually terrifyingly powerful. It could dilute love, make it vanish completely. Chapter 5. For several consecutive days, I saw Luis constantly updating his social media feed. If he wasn't out horseback riding or rock climbing with friends, he was indulging in endless parties at some club. It seemed that without me by his side, he was living a carefree life. And in every one of those photos, without exception, I could spot Rita's figure. Luis had always disliked showcasing his personal life, and his social media had remained dormant for years. I wondered if Rita's arrival had changed him, igniting his desire to show off. But all of that no longer interested me. Now, my mind was entirely occupied with the design proposals for the new product line. Those photos? I merely glanced at them and put my phone down. That evening after work, I was still in the office revising a set of design drafts. The phone rang. I froze for a moment when I saw the name on the screen. It was Luis, whom I hadn't heard from in over a month. As soon as the call connected, his familiar deep voice came through the receiver, accompanied by a light chuckle. "Babe, still mad at me?" I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window of the office, gazing at the city lights outside, my heart utterly calm. "It's been over a month, but you still owe me an explanation for transferring me without discussing it first. Don't you? I just wanted to give you a better career opportunity. I knew you'd be reluctant to leave, unwilling to be apart from me. If I had talked to you, you definitely would have said no. So you decided to act first and inform later?" Luis, don't tell me you don't understand that this completely violated the company's HR procedures. If it were someone else, they might have walked out right then and there. You were just banking on my reluctance and sense of responsibility. Elena, I was wrong, but I really did it for your own good. I've seen your achievements at the company over the years. You have the talent and the capability to take charge on your own. You've been at HQ for 3 years now. You've gained enough experience. All you needed was a stage to fully unleash your potential. The branch's design department is the springboard I'm giving you to leap to a higher level. Such a smooth talker. If I hadn't personally overheard that sentence, having her cling to me all the time is kind of annoying, I might have bought his story. I might have even been moved by his supposed good intentions, wondering if I had been too selfish. Is it because of Rita? The moment she came back, you sent me away. I asked bluntly. What? What does this have to do with Rita? I told you. It's all. His words were cut off by a female voice nearby. Luis, can I hitch a ride with you later? Even after all these years, even through the phone, I recognized it was Rita's voice. You're going to dinner together? I asked. Yes. I hung up the phone directly. After thinking for a moment, I sent him a message on Instagram. Let's break up. Chapter 6. After showering at home, I picked up my phone and saw dozens of missed calls, all from Luis. In my daze, the phone rang again. Elena? What's the meaning of this? I thought I made it clear. I said, break up. It was wrong of me to transfer you without your consent. I apologize, but I really did it for your own good. You can ask your dad and your brother. Taking the position of design director at the branch is a great opportunity for growth. Is it really for my good? Or for yours? I sneered. Why would you say that? That night, I was outside the private room at the club. I heard what you said. I repeated word by word. Having her cling to me all the time is kind of annoying. Elena. Listen to me. I had a bit to drink that night. I was just talking nonsense. That's not what I really think. Drunk words are sober thoughts, aren't they? It's not like that. It's not just because of that sentence. My tone was indifferent. These past 2 years, your attitude toward me, I could feel it clearly. Luis. Admit it, you're tired of me, annoyed by me, sick of seeing me around. I've left. Just like you wanted. Shouldn't you be happy? There was a long silence on the other end. I don't agree to break up. You're just acting on impulse. I'll give you time to cool off. Elena Fu. I'll contact you again after some time. Whatever. After all, breaking up isn't like getting divorced. I don't need his consent. Chapter 7. For several days in a row, Luis's social media feed was filled with photos of him dead drunk. I quietly muted him. Out of sight. Out of mind. Lately, there had been a lot going on. Besides the new product designs, our department had also recruited 3 new colleagues. Among the existing designers, only 2 had experience mentoring others. I assigned 1 newcomer to each of them, and the remaining 1, I had to mentor myself. I sighed. The team was still severely short of people, especially seasoned, capable designers. Luckily, the newcomer I was mentoring was sharp, diligent, a promising talent, just a bit too slick and worldly. Ever since he called me master, he had been bringing me a cup of hand-brewed coffee from the shop downstairs every morning. One time during lunch break, my office door was open, and he happened to pass by. He was shocked to see me eating just bread. Master, you're only eating bread for lunch? I've got a report to rush out. No time to go out. And I forgot to order delivery. I pointed at the screen. Unlike the headquarters, the branch office wasn't big enough to have its own canteen. Sometimes, when I was working late and rushing to meet deadlines, I would forget to eat until I was starving, so I kept a big box of bread in the office. When I didn't have time for a meal or when hunger hit, I would just stuff down a piece to get by. Master, wait for me. Leonardo said this and rushed out. 10 minutes later, he came back carrying a carefully packed meal. This was the only place without a line. I was afraid you'd be hungry, so I quickly got it packed for you. I don't know if it suits your taste, but at least it's something. I looked at the logo on the packaging, speechless. Do you know why there was no line? Because it's expensive. Is it? His question was sincere, considering his usual attire, and the sports car he drove to work. I understood, definitely a rich kid. Since that day, Leonardo ordered me lunch every day. I tried to pay him, but he refused every time. I know you're not short on money, but still, you shouldn't waste like this. Your family's money didn't fall from the sky, it's your parents' hard work, right? He grinned cheekily. My dad said that back in his day, apprentices had to kneel when acknowledging a master, and on holidays, they'd bring gifts to their mentors. You're my master. Showing respect is my duty. Buying you lunch every day is nothing. My dad even thinks I'm being stingy and wants me to pick a proper gift for you. Don't you dare. If you do, I won't take you as my apprentice anymore. I warned him. Fine. He looked genuinely aggrieved. Chapter 8. Every day after work. If I didn't leave, Leonardo wouldn't leave either. I have tons of work and often stay late. Once you're done with your tasks, just go home. Our company doesn't have that whole the boss doesn't leave, the employees can't leave culture. No way. I need to learn more. I heard only 2 out of us 3 newcomers will get to stay. I don't want to fail probation. He was quite serious. After getting more familiar with Leonardo, I learned that his family owned the largest supermarket chain in the region. In addition, they were involved in real estate, catering, and other industries. The lunches he ordered for me every day were actually from his family's own restaurants. Not wanting to owe him favors, whenever we worked overtime, I would invite him out for dinner. That night, my car was at the shop for maintenance. After dinner, Leonardo insisted on giving me a ride home. When we got to my building, I thanked him and turned toward my apartment. Just as I reached the entrance and was about to swipe my key card, a tall figure emerged from the shadows nearby. I was startled and almost screamed. Elena. It's me! Luis stepped out of the shadows. What are you doing here? Wait, how did you even know where I live? I was still catching my breath. Shaken. Sorry. Didn't mean to scare you. He pressed his lips together. I asked some colleagues over here where you lived. I wanted to give you a surprise. I paused. We already broke up. Your visit isn't a surprise to me. He stepped forward and pulled me into his arms. That familiar, warm scent filled my senses. Who was that just now? His voice was thick with jealousy. Oh, the new guy in my department. I'm mentoring him. I pushed him away. You're the director, and you still have to mentor newcomers yourself? Can't help it. We're short-staffed. Then I'll transfer some experienced designers over to help you. Don't joke. I heard from my mentor, there's a shortage of designers at HQ too. For a long moment, he stayed silent. Chapter 9. After a long silence, Luis finally spoke. It's been so long since I last held you. You're still the same. Just a hug from you calms me down. It feels so good. The house doesn't have your scent anymore. It feels cold and empty. I don't even want to go home. I've been posting all those pitiful pictures on social media, getting drunk until I ended up in the hospital, and you didn't feel even a bit sorry for me. Without you around, I can't seem to find joy in anything. Not even my favorite sports can save me. Let's stop this. Okay? I was wrong. I don't want to break up. I had never heard him speak in such a fragile tone before. There was grievance, and even a hint of pleading. The Luisi I remembered had always been proud, ambitious, and full of vigor. Luis. I've felt it before. I looked into his dark eyes under the night sky. There was a time when you truly wanted to break up with me. You don't love me anymore. He panicked. That's not true. It was just a moment of confusion. I thought. His voice dropped lower. I thought I was tired of us. We'd been together so long. I almost forgot we were in a relationship. Yes, we had been childhood sweethearts, even living next door. We had been put on the same playmat before we could walk, learning to crawl side by side. From kindergarten to primary school, middle school, high school, and university, we had always attended the same schools. Even for our postgraduate studies, we applied to the same university. All these years, we had never been apart. For a brief moment, I was struck by the realization. Up until now, my entire life had been intertwined with Luis. Even with your own parents, you would inevitably have conflicts from living together. How could there be no friction between two people with no binding ties? So, after making peace with myself, I understood what Luis meant when he said he was tired. Feelings can't be controlled. I couldn't demand that he love me forever, that his feelings would never change. Even I couldn't guarantee I'd never change. So how could I expect that from someone else? Like you said, we've just been together too long. Now that we've separated, you're simply not used to it yet. In time, you will get used to it. That's not true. I know my own heart. Let's leave it at that. Don't come looking for me anymore. I opened the door, calmly walked in, and left him standing outside. Elena! His voice called out from behind me. I miss you. I really miss you. But I didn't pause. I kept walking straight ahead. Chapter 10. Luis suddenly seemed to have a lot more free time. Every few days, he would drive over to the city, officially, to inspect the branch office. Whenever he came, the company would hold meetings, and the department heads would report to him. One time, after the meeting, everyone dispersed, but he remained seated in the conference room. Director Fu, he called out to me, the last one preparing to leave. Could you please get me a cup of coffee? He rubbed his temples as he spoke, looking exhausted, his voice hoarse. Okay, I replied. When I came back from the break room with the coffee and reached the door of the conference room, I froze. Luis was leaning back in the chair, eyes closed, breathing steadily. He had fallen asleep. I gently pushed the door open, placed the coffee on the table, Just as I was about to quietly leave, a voice came from behind me. Thanks. I turned around. You look exhausted. Didn't get any rest? He chuckled softly. Are you concerned about me? I pulled an all-nighter yesterday for the new business in the Middle East. Then I drove over 2 hours this morning just to make it in time for the meeting. I thought for a moment, then said sincerely, actually, the branch already has a general manager in place. You don't have to handle everything personally. Like today's pre-bid meeting, you really didn't need to come in person. Why make yourself suffer like this? To see you. It's worth it, he whispered. I was momentarily choked up. Well, in your current state, shouldn't you head back to the hotel and get some rest? I asked. He shook his head. No time. I have to rush back to City now. I have a 9 p.m. flight tonight. I'm going on a business trip to the Middle East. Probably won't be back for over 10 days. Thinking about not being able to see you for that long, I had to come by today. Just seeing you gives me comfort for the next 10 days. I sighed. What's the point of all this? Chapter 11. Half a month later, Luis returned. As soon as his plane landed at City A's airport, he didn't even go home, he headed straight for City C. When he arrived at the company, it was midday. Leonardo and I were having lunch on the office terrace. We were chatting and laughing when his sudden appearance interrupted us. Mr. Yi. Leonardo immediately stood up, looking at Luis, then at me. I'll leave you two to talk. That kid ran off so fast he even forgot to take his barely touched lunch. Luis sat down in front of me but didn't say a word for a long while. Have you eaten? I broke the awkward silence. Even though we had broken up, he was still my boss. I had to at least maintain professional courtesy. He stared at the 2 identical lunchboxes on the table, along with the identical dishes. His expression unreadable. You two ordered lunch together? It was a while before he finally spoke. His tone gloomy. I chuckled. One time, Leonardo saw me eating bread in the office and insisted on ordering lunch for me. It's from his family's restaurant. Tastes pretty good. I tried to refuse, but he insisted on ordering 2 portions every day. It'd be a waste to throw it out, since he won't accept my money. I just invite him for supper after overtime to return the favor. You even take him out for meals? Luis's tone turned sour. He treats me. I treat him. It's only fair. All this treating each other, you're seeing each other more and more, aren't you? What are you thinking? I glared at him. He's my apprentice. 5 years younger than me. To me, he's just a kid. But the way he looks at you is not how a kid looks at someone. Luis gritted his teeth. Men know men. You're overthinking. Forget it. Let's not talk about him. I brought you a gift. He handed me a bag. It's a gemstone necklace, supposedly a national treasure from a small, now defunct Middle Eastern country. Has quite the history. Luis, we're no longer a couple. I stood up. I can't accept such an expensive gift. I didn't even glance at the way his eyes dimmed. Inch by inch, I packed up the lunch boxes and walked away without looking back. Chapter 12. The next day, the company issued an announcement. The president, sympathizing with the hard work of the branch employees and recognizing their achievements, decided to improve employee benefits by adding a canteen. The canteen would offer a wide variety of dishes, at prices much cheaper than outside restaurants. Everyone was overjoyed. All morning, the whole office was abuzz with talk about it, praising Mr. Yi as the most thoughtful and wise leader. I thought of those identical lunch boxes Leonardo and I shared, and Luis's displeased face. I shook my head. Impossible. Setting up a canteen at the branch involved no small budget. Luis was a qualified capitalist. He wouldn't randomly approve such a major expense just because of me. He wasn't the type to act like a love-struck fool. Just as I was thinking that, Luis's call came through. City C's branch saw a significant rise in performance last year. Headquarters has been discussing improving employee benefits. I proposed setting up a canteen. It passed unanimously. Before I could say anything, he had already launched into his own explanation. This way, that kid has no excuse to keep ordering you lunch, and you don't have to feel obligated to take him out for meals anymore. Everyone wins. There was a hint of pride in his tone. How had I never noticed before? This man actually had such a childish side. Chapter 13. On Saturday morning, I was catching up on sleep at home. Luis's call woke me up. Are you home today? Yeah. Why? Nothing. Just asking. He hung up. I tried to go back to sleep but couldn't manage it. So I got up, went to the supermarket, bought some groceries, and made lunch for myself. Just as I finished cooking, my best friend called. Guess where I am? She asked mysteriously. Where? I asked casually. Open the door. Confused. I walked to the door and opened it, only to find a huge bouquet of pink lilies blocking the doorway. Surprise! My friend's face popped out from behind the flowers. What are you doing here? I asked. Delighted. She waved the cake she was carrying in her other hand. Happy birthday! Only then did I remember, it was my birthday today. Come in. I just cooked lunch. Let's eat together. I pulled her inside. You can cook? I always thought you were the kind of pampered princess who never touched the kitchen. She teased with curiosity. Now I've got to taste your skills. While we ate, my parents called me on video. They said since it was the weekend, they figured I'd be sleeping in and didn't want to disturb me earlier. My parents and brother sent me birthday wishes. My parents, as usual, were generous. They transferred money directly as my gift. My brother was even more outrageous. He told me he'd bought me an apartment in City C as a birthday present, right next to my company. My best friend groaned in envy, saying she was bitter and emotionally damaged, and demanded I accompany her for a day out to soothe her wounded heart. I smiled and agreed. Since coming to City C, I had been too busy to explore. Now was the perfect chance to get to know the city. I drove my friend straight to the city's most famous tourist spot. We spent the whole afternoon exploring, but when I reached for my phone to take a picture, I realized my pocket was empty. My phone was gone. Chapter 14. I remembered clearly that when we first arrived at the entrance, I had checked the time on my phone, so it couldn't have been left in the car. It either fell or got stolen, my friend concluded. Anyway, the chances of getting it back are slim. I nodded helplessly, accepting my bad luck. Let's buy a new one when we get back to the city tonight. Luckily, my family already video called me at noon, so they probably won't call again today, I said. We spent the rest of the afternoon visiting several more places. At dinner time, my friend received a call, something urgent at home, so she had to leave early. I dropped her off at the train station and headed to a phone store. It was already evening, so after buying the phone, I would have to wait until tomorrow to get a new SIM card. On the way home, it suddenly started pouring rain. The place I rented was a tiny complex without a parking lot. I circled the area for ages before finally finding a parking spot. After parking, I grabbed my umbrella and dashed toward home. As I reached my building, I saw Luis, soaking wet, leaning against the wall. When he saw me, he rushed over, as if to hug me. But when he looked at his drenched clothes, he stopped. Elena, where did you go? I couldn't reach you all day. I was going crazy. If I couldn't contact you any longer, I was going to call the police. Weren't you the one who said you'd be at home today? Looking at his sorry state, I sighed and opened the door. Go take a shower first. I handed him a set of my loose lounge clothes. From the bathroom came the sound of running water as I sat on the sofa fiddling with my new phone. When he came out, he was wearing my clothes. What looked oversized on me clung tightly to him, making him look a bit ridiculous. Drying his hair with a towel, he sat next to me. What happened? Why was your phone off? I went out, lost my phone, just bought a new one, but I haven't put the SIM card in yet. I waved the new phone. Luis let out a breath of relief. Promise me, never let me lose contact with you again. When I couldn't reach you, do you know how panicked I was? I couldn't stop imagining the worst. Oh, so you do know what that feels like? I smirked sarcastically. What do you mean? Remember the day HQ issued my transfer notice? I couldn't reach you at all. Your phone was always busy, for 5 whole days. You avoided me, ignored my calls, left my messages unanswered. Do you know how desperate I was? Luis's hand paused in midair, his expression stunned, like he finally realized something. He guiltily avoided my gaze. After a while, he spoke, his tone full of remorse. I'm sorry. It will never happen again. I promise. No matter when you call, I'll pick up immediately. His voice turned sad again. You haven't called me even once lately. You don't have to promise anything. We're already broken up. Remember? I reminded him. He lowered his eyes. Elena Fu. I waited outside for you for 5 hours today. I just wanted to give you a birthday surprise. Such a cheap trick, trying to change the subject by playing the pity card. I sighed helplessly. It's raining. Couldn't you have at least waited somewhere with shelter? Even your car would have been fine. I didn't want to sit in the car or leave. I was afraid I'd miss you when you came back. I only got inside because someone else opened the door, and I followed. But the lilies you like are ruined, and the cake is inedible now. At least the gift is still intact. He pulled out a set of keys. I bought an apartment in Happiness Complex. You should move in. This area isn't safe. Get your documents ready. We'll transfer the property next week. Happiness Complex? What a coincidence. I shook my head. No need. My brother already bought me an apartment there. He looked frustrated. Late again. Chapter 15. That night, the rain never stopped, and Luis ended up not leaving. He slept on the sofa. The next morning, when I got up, he was already busy in the kitchen making breakfast. You're up. Go wash up. I'm almost done here, he said while plating the noodles. It was the first time I saw him cook breakfast. Surprisingly, his skills weren't bad. The scallion oil noodles were delicious. I finished a big bowl. He looked proud. Not bad, right? If you like it, I can make it for you again when there's a chance. After breakfast, he took the initiative to wash the dishes. Just as he finished, his phone rang. Rita? Yeah. I didn't go back last night. I'm still in City C. Mr. Liu? Today? Could you explain to him for me? I'll treat him to dinner when I get back tomorrow. My voice? Oh, it's nothing. Maybe a bit of a cold. It's not raining today. You can head back now. I watched him as he busily replied to messages. He put down his phone, looking aggrieved. Are you kicking me out? I'm just afraid Rita might misunderstand. Misunderstand what? He suddenly paused. You don't think there's something between me and Rita, do you? Isn't she your pretentious coquette? You sent me away because of her, right? And now you're staying over at my place. Aren't you afraid she'll question you? Luis looked at me, bewildered. What pretentious coquette? What are you talking about? I don't get it. Sending you away was me being an idiot. That was my fault. When I made that decision, I didn't even know she was coming back. Stop pretending. Back in college, you liked her. No, why would you think that? Luis put down his phone, looking ready for a long talk. Tell me, what did I do to make you think that? I thought hard, actually. He had never openly expressed liking Rita, but back then, I was his girlfriend. If he had openly admitted liking someone else, wouldn't that have made him a cheating scumbag? Even if he didn't say it, his actions certainly spoke volumes. I gathered my thoughts and carefully listed. One day, I saw you lining up at the back gate of the school to buy butterfly pastries. I thought you were buying them for me and was secretly happy, but I never got those pastries. Instead, I saw them in Rita's social media post. She said someone who liked her bought them. I still remembered that post, wanted butterfly pastries, and he queued 2 hours just to get them for me. When someone likes you, they're just that willful. Back then, the butterfly pastries at the back gate were on limited supply, tasted amazing, and always had long lines, almost impossible to get. And since Rita and Luis were both in the student council, they often interacted. I remembered confronting Luis, asking him why he bought pastries for someone else. He flatly denied it, saying I was mistaken and he had never queued for them. Luis furrowed his brow, trying to recall. Then his expression lit up as if he suddenly remembered. I got it. He sat upright. That was when I lost a basketball match to Dominic. I had to do him a favor, and he asked me to line up and buy those butterfly pastries. He liked Rita, so he gave them to her. You helped Dominic? Then why did you stubbornly deny you ever queued when I asked you? Well, because I lost the game. It was embarrassing. He gave an awkward laugh. I was young and full of pride. You were my girlfriend. How could I admit I lost to someone else? But that was the only time I lost. After that, I always won. So, this misunderstanding was all because of a guy's damned pride and competitiveness? Chapter 16. Wait a second, Dominic likes Rita? How did I not know that? Dominic was Luisia's childhood friend. They grew up together. even went to the same university as us. We had been quite close. He didn't just like her, he was a top-tier simp. Luis sneered. When Dominic first started pursuing Rita, he gave her a designer bag right off the bat. Rita accepted the gift but told him she didn't want to date yet. Wanted to focus on studying. Also, she said she didn't like high-profile relationships and didn't want to become gossip fodder because of someone chasing her. Dominic, the fool, took her words like the holy decree and followed them to the letter. He even begged us not to tell anyone. He chased her in secret, gifting this today, that tomorrow. She accepted everything but never agreed to date him. She told him she wouldn't date during school, and he thought once they graduated, he'd finally have a chance. But she didn't even wait until graduation, she went abroad early. I later found out that while Rita was overseas, Dominic kept wiring her money. Even Fei Yongyang would have to call him big bro. I finally connected the dots and suddenly realized something. I get it now. Dominic liked Rita. But Rita liked you. Luis was so startled his voice went up an octave. How is that possible? Back then, when I thought you liked her, it wasn't just because of the pastries. There was also that time you changed your phone wallpaper. I happened to see Rita's phone screen and noticed you both had matching couple wallpapers. You mean that stupid anime wallpaper? Didn't I explain that already? It was Dominic's prank. He secretly changed all our dorm's phones to those cringy wallpapers. I never bothered to change it back because I'm lazy with that stuff. Later, when you told me to change it, didn't I change it right away? I nodded. So that was also Dominic. But maybe, did Rita tell him to do that? Once you changed the wallpaper, she changed hers to match yours, and deliberately let me see it to make me misunderstand. Luis froze. I continued analyzing, and when she posted the butterfly pastry on social media and I confronted you, you denied buying it and said you never saw her post. But when I checked again, that post had disappeared. I thought she deleted it. So, did you really not see it? Or did you see it but denied it out of guilt? I really didn't see it, he said firmly. I remember. Even though you rarely post on social media, you love scrolling through it. If you didn't see it, it could only mean Rita set that post to only visible to me. Your analysis sounds strangely convincing. Luis nodded slowly. So this time, Rita coming to work at the group, was that also Dominic's doing? It really was Dominic's recommendation. I swear, you know he owns a small share in the group, and he's my childhood friend. He asked me to give Rita a job. I couldn't refuse him that favor. Then his eyes widened, as if a light bulb finally went off, now that I think about it. I've been seeing Rita a lot lately, but it's always Dominic who invites me, and she tags along. She keeps chatting with me, and honestly, I've gotten annoyed a few times. She even stares at me directly. I get it now. She knew I sent you away. Maybe she even heard from Dominic that I told you we should break up. She wants to take advantage of the situation. Elena, you have to believe me. I wasn't tempted by her. I haven't even been alone with her. I replied blandly. Whether I believe you or not doesn't matter anymore. We're already broken up, aren't we? Not this again. Go home, Luis. If you don't leave, I'll go check into a hotel. Chapter 17. Monday morning. As soon as I arrived at the office, I received an Instagram message from Luis. I've already fired Rita. I won't give her any chance to get close to me. I also scolded Dominic. He's a fool and dragged me into it. Elena, I have no interest in any other woman. I put down my phone and continued working. I didn't reply to Luis, but that didn't affect his enthusiasm in the slightest. Every day he sent me Instagram messages, sometimes a joke, sometimes a picture of an oddly shaped cloud. At night, he would report his entire day to me, what he did, what he ate, where he went, and he always ended with, got home before 10 p.m. today. Another day of early sleep and early rise checked off. Looking at these messages, all I felt was helplessness. I had tried countless times in the past to persuade Luis to sleep early and live healthier. He used to drink and party late into the night, even ending up in the hospital for liver and stomach issues. The doctor told him he needed to take care of his health, but he never listened to me. No matter how much I tried to reason with him, he ignored me. Eventually, I got angry and ordered him to be home by 10 p.m. every night. I still remembered the look he gave me then, half smile, half mockery, as if laughing at my arrogance. Who are you to me? What right do you have to control me? Though he never said it outright, I felt the meaning loud and clear. At that time, I still loved him. Seeing that look, I felt heartbroken, out of fear of upsetting him. I never dared to speak to him in such a commanding tone again. He continued to do whatever he pleased, staying out late, partying at clubs with friends. He was free to do whatever he wanted, without reporting to anyone. In those 2 years, he gradually stopped caring about what I said, stopped caring about my feelings. I had only ever dated Luis. I didn't know how other couples interacted. When I first realized his attitude toward me was growing colder, I panicked. I was scared he didn't love me anymore. But after being neglected, dismissed, even subjected to cold violence for so long, my love for him unknowingly faded, until there was nothing left. I no longer loved him. I decided to break up. Now that I had left him, he suddenly remembered all the things I used to tell him, and started living by those standards, sleeping early, waking early. But a heart that's been hurt can't heal. This kind of belated affection no longer moved me. Chapter 18. Friday night. I worked overtime again. I wanted to finish everything so I could go back to City A for the weekend to visit my parents. By the time I finished, it was almost 9. I shut down my computer, turned off the lights. When I got to the staircase, Leonardo had also just packed up. He got up. Master, let's go together. Maybe because of all the consecutive late nights, my head felt dizzy. While stepping down the stairs outside the building, I accidentally stepped on a piece of watermelon rind and almost fell. Luckily, Leonardo caught me just in time, saving me from rolling down the steps. But I didn't escape injuring my ankle. A sharp pain shot up immediately. Leonardo rushed me to the hospital. The doctor said it was a minor fracture and needed to be in a cast. My plans to visit home were ruined. Not wanting to worry my parents, I didn't tell them the truth, just made up an excuse that I was too busy to go back this week. With the cast and crutches, moving around was a hassle. Leonardo insisted on taking care of me. After much pestering, I reluctantly agreed to let him deliver my meals. But every time he delivered food, he would hang around my place for ages before finally leaving. Sunday noon, after bringing lunch, Leonardo pulled the same trick again. "Aw, master, the living room floor looks a bit dirty. Let me mop it for you before I go. The robot vacuum is just too dumb, it can't compete with a human touch." Then he spent almost half an hour mopping the same small patch of floor over and over. After I repeatedly urged him, he finally put down the mop, sulking as he walked toward the door, looking back every few steps. "Leonardo," I called him. "I just ended a relationship. I have no plans to start dating again. And besides, you're 5 years younger than me." As adults, his intentions were obvious. I laid it bare. "Don't waste your time on me." Leonardo was silent for a few seconds. "Your ex is Mr. Yi, right? How did you know?" I've never seen a CEO so obsessed with a branch office before. Plus, the way he looks at you, it's too obvious. I bet the whole design department can see it. "I won't get back together with him," I said before he could get his hopes up. "But I also won't accept you. I just want to focus on my career right now." Leonardo pouted, looking aggrieved. "You can reject me, but I'll keep pursuing you. You don't get to decide for me." Then, in a huff, he turned to leave. He had barely taken 2 steps when the doorbell rang. Leonardo opened the door. Luis was standing there. Chapter 19. Luis gritted his teeth. "What are you doing here?" Leonardo smirked smugly. "Taking care of my master." "Taking care of Elena Fu? Master has a fractured ankle." "What? What? She hasn't told you she's injured?" Luis's face turned dark. He pushed past Leonardo and stormed into the apartment, walking straight toward me. "Elena? How did you get hurt this badly? What happened? What did the doctor say? Do you need to be hospitalized?" I looked toward the door. "Leo, you can go back now." Leonardo caught the hint in my gaze, reluctantly heading toward the door. Before leaving, he tossed back, "Master, I'll come by to bring you dinner tonight." Once the door closed, Luis suddenly squatted beside me, staring at my injured ankle. After a long while, he looked up, eyes filled with sorrow. "Elena, it hurts me so much. You got hurt and didn't even tell me. You used to contact me first about everything. You treat me like an outsider now." His voice choked. "It's my fault. I deserve this. These past 2 years. I've been such a jerk. I completely broke your heart. Now, when I think about the things I did in the past 2 years, ignoring you, answering your calls depending on my mood, pretending not to see your messages, it wasn't until recently, when you started treating me the same way, that I finally understood how hurt and heartbroken you must have been back then. I'm such a bastard. How could I ever treat you like that? I clearly once made a vow to do everything I could to make you happy for a lifetime." I sighed. "It's all in the past. It doesn't matter anymore." Luis's face twisted in pain as he buried his head into the couch. "I ruined everything. I could have had a happy life. Elena. I didn't know how to cherish what I had. I've had everything handed to me too easily since I was a kid. We've been together for so long, and you were so good to me, that I got carried away and forgot how important you were to me. I thought I was tired of us. Wanted to leave you. Wanted to breathe some so-called free air. We've never been apart since we were kids. I thought I lost my freedom. But after you left, I realized how much I can't live without you. Without you, every day feels empty and endless. I've lost interest in everything. I can't even muster any enthusiasm. I feel like I'm drifting aimlessly, even signing that multi-billion Middle Eastern project. Something that used to excite me felt meaningless without you to share it with. I miss you during the day. Can't focus. I miss you at night. Can't sleep. Night after night. Regret eats away at me. Sending you away was the most foolish decision I've ever made. Now that you're hurt, and someone else took you to the hospital, stayed by your side, that jealousy is eating me alive. I don't even want to go back to Cydia now. I'm afraid if I leave, Leonardo will take advantage of your vulnerable moment. He's taking care of you while you're weak. What if you fall for him? You're so outstanding. Besides Leonardo, there will surely be others pursuing you. How could I have been so foolish as to send you away to another city? If you were by my side, no other man would be a threat. I'd drive them all away. But now, with us living in different cities, I'm constantly afraid. Scared someone else will shower you with attention. Truly, I've made my own bed, and now I can't even bear to lie in it. Chapter 20. Elena Fu. Luis suddenly looked up, pleading, "Let's get back together. Please? Give me one more chance. I can't take this torment anymore." I paused for a moment, my tone sincere. "Love is really such a strange thing, Luis. It's not something we can control consciously. If I still loved you the way I used to, no matter what you did to me, I wouldn't be able to bear leaving your side. But you know it. Luis, I don't love you anymore. Do you understand what that feels like? It's when you can no longer stir any emotions in me. I won't think of you out of the blue. If you're hurt, I won't worry. If you're tired, I won't feel sorry for you. To me now, you're just like any ordinary friend. So I can't force myself to be with someone I don't love, just like I wouldn't get together with a regular friend." Luis's eyes filled with tears. "Please stop. It feels like I'm being sliced apart inch by inch. You don't love me anymore. Who would have thought this day would come? Back then, I dared to hurt you like that because I was counting on your love. Certain you'd never leave me. Certain you'd never let go. Now, it's my turn to suffer. Elena, you don't love me anymore. And it's only right that you won't get back together with me. But I only ask that you don't fall in love with someone else so soon. Okay? Let me try my best to make you fall in love with me again." I gave a faint smile. I feel like I've already lost the ability to love. I have no intention of developing any intimate relationship with a man for now. I just want to focus on doing my work well. That's good. Luis looked visibly relieved. That means I still have a chance. Chapter 21. 1 year later. I resigned. Why? Luis asked me. Didn't you say it yourself? The City C branch was the springboard you gave me. Since it's a springboard, of course I'll use it to jump to an even higher, better place. Starting my own design studio has been my plan all along. I don't want to work for you for the rest of my life. Doesn't having my own business sound much better? Plus, my family is very supportive of me doing this. My brother even gave me a chunk of startup capital. I'm not blaming you for starting your own business. Elena, you know that no matter what you do, I'll support you. I just feel a little hurt. You never talked to me about your future plans. There was no need to, I answered coldly. Luis seemed used to the way I spoke now. He didn't get angry. Since your brother gave you the startup funds, let me give you a bit too. Starting a business is tough. Especially at the beginning. It burns through money fast. No need. I rejected him flatly. By the way. He hesitated. Right after you left the company, Leonardo also resigned. Is he going to help you start your business? No. I shook my head, though he did have that thought. I refused him. I said, he's a proper rich second generation. Money is not an issue for his family. He just wanted to work a few years while he was young. Chasing his own dreams. His family wouldn't let him stay outside forever. He has to go back and inherit the family business. Luis finally let out a long sigh of relief. As long as he's not coming to your place. Chapter 22. On the day my studio opened, many friends sent flower baskets. Among them, 2 stood out especially. One was filled with pink roses, the other, with red roses. My assistant asked me, Director Fu, these 2 flower baskets look quite expensive. Should we set them aside separately? No need. Just register them like the others and place them together. I replied calmly. Several friends also came in person to offer their congratulations. They were also potential clients for my studio. I smiled and went over to greet them warmly. The sunlight spilled down upon me, and inside, I felt bright and radiant. Story 2. My daughter suddenly had a heart attack, but the only person who could perform the surgery, my husband, was out shopping with his first crush. When I called him, trembling and pleading for help, he impatiently hung up and said, "What's the rush? Will she die if it's a bit later?" But waiting an hour really could cause death. Later, my daughter's condition worsened, and she was pronounced dead. I held her ashes in my arms, returned home alone, and prepared the divorce papers. Chapter 1. At 3 in the morning, Luis finally returned home. When he turned on the light and saw me sitting in the living room, he was startled. I was holding our daughter's ashes, turning my head slowly, my eyes red and swollen, my face pale, staring at him. "Amanda, if you're sick, go get treated. Who are you trying to scare sitting here like a ghost in the middle of the night?" Luis said as he took off his socks and tossed them in front of me. "Hurry up and wash them. I'm out of clean socks." I looked at him mechanically. At 11 that night, my husband came home disheveled, with faint lipstick marks on his collar. I didn't have to guess whose lipstick it was. Seeing that I didn't respond, Luis grew even more impatient. "You're not still mad about Amy, are you?" I unconsciously hugged the urn in my arms tighter. "I already told you, Lila just came back to the country, and I hadn't seen her in 10 years. What's wrong with spending some time with her? There are plenty of opportunities for surgery. There's no need to rush. I'm a doctor. Do you really think I wouldn't take care of our Amy?" Luis spoke irritably, throwing his perfume-scented coat at me. He acted as if everything was my fault, as if I was being unreasonable. But how could this be unreasonable? I threw his coat aside, tears falling uncontrollably. It was so close. Just a little more time. After that call, Amy's condition rapidly deteriorated. Before she died, she held my hand and asked, "Mom, why didn't Dad come?" "Mom, don't cry. Amy doesn't hurt anymore. Don't be mad at Dad because of this. Dad didn't make it in time. He must have had something important to do. Dad's a doctor. He's very busy." She obediently said she wouldn't cry, but when she was delirious, she kept crying out for her dad. I could only hold her hand tightly and tell her that Dad was on his way, that he would be there soon. "Just hold on a little longer, please. Amy, just hold on a little longer." But until Amy closed her eyes forever, I still hadn't heard from Luis. At the same time, I saw Lila's new post on social media. Thank goodness Luis was with me, or Bowsy, her dog's name, would have been in danger. The picture showed Luis, Lila, and a white Tibetan Mastiff. In the picture, the two of them looked so intimate, as if they were a real couple. He missed Amy's surgery just to accompany Lila to take her dog to the vet. My daughter died, also that Lila's dog could live. Luis, seeing that I hadn't moved or improved after a long time, clicked his tongue in annoyance. "Look at you. with that half-dead look on your face. Can't you be more like Lila? Dress up a bit, and be more obedient? Do you even know how embarrassing it is to be seen with you like this? His cold tone was full of disdain. I let out a bitter laugh and looked up at him. Lila. Always Lila. We've been married for 7 years, but Luis has never stopped thinking about Lila. Over the years, for the sake of our daughter, I kept telling myself to endure it, thinking that at least Amy could have a complete family. But now, Amy died. I took out the prepared divorce papers. Luis. Let's get divorced. Chapter 2. Are you crazy? Luis never imagined that one day I would ask him for a divorce. Maybe he was too used to my submissiveness. So when I mentioned divorce, the look in his eyes was full of shock. Divorce? Do you want Amy to be without a father? I gently caressed the urn in my arms. The moment I closed my eyes, I could see Amy's face as she was dying. She was so small, so fragile, just skin and bones in my arms. When she was on the brink of death, her father was out shopping with another woman. What good is having a father anyway? Amy doesn't need a father anymore. With that, I turned to leave, holding the urn tightly. Luis grabbed me by the arm. Amanda, what do you mean by that? Whether Amy needs a father or not isn't for you to decide. If you have the guts, let Amy tell me herself. But Amy will never get the chance to tell you that. I held the cold urn tightly, imagining the warmth of holding Amy in my arms as I once did. So many times, when Luis and Lila were sweet-talking over their long-distance calls, it was Amy who wiped away my tears, patted my back, and said, Mom, don't cry. You have Amy. Mom, don't be sad. I endured all of this, and yet I still lost my Amy. There's nothing more to say to you. I shook off Luis's hand and told him, word by word, tomorrow at noon. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Fine, fine. You think you're all grown up now. Huh? Luis growled through gritted teeth. Divorce. With that, he grabbed his coat and stormed out the door. Before leaving, he turned back to threaten me. After the divorce, I'll make sure Amy's custody is mine. Amanda, you'll regret this. With those words, the door slammed shut with a loud bang. The house fell into a dead silence, broken only by the ticking of the clock in the living room. I gently patted the urn in my arms, as if comforting a frightened child. From beginning to end, Luis never once asked about our daughter, how she was doing today, whether her vitals were stable, if she was in pain, or even if she was sleeping. He didn't even care about the noise he made, not even when slamming the door so loudly. And he never once asked what I was holding so tightly in my arms. I stared at the closed door and wiped the tears from my face. Luis, you missed seeing Amy for the last time. And now, you'll miss seeing me for the last time, too. Chapter 3. The next day, I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time with my bag. By noon, Luis still hadn't shown up. I decisively called him. Luis's voice sounded furious. Amanda, are you out of your mind? Do you have to ruin someone's morning? I looked at the clouds and the sky, my tone calm. Come and get the divorce. Luis, don't make me lose all respect for you. In the end, he showed up. Luis and Lila arrived at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, holding the Tibetan Mastiff. When Luis saw me, he took Lila's arm, and they spoke intimately, looking every bit like a newlywed couple. There was a faint smile on his lips as he talked to her. In 7 years of marriage, he had never smiled at me like that. When they reached me, Lila immediately took my hand. Amanda, why are you so determined to divorce our Luis? You're not still doubting our relationship, are you? Amanda, don't worry. We've known each other for so many years. If we were going to be together, it would have happened long before now. You wouldn't even have had a chance. I sneezed and pulled my hand away. Then congratulations. Once we're divorced, the man I don't want will finally be yours. Lila's face froze. Luis's expression turned completely dark. Signatures, stamps, and the divorce certificate was in my hand. As we walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Luis looked displeased. I advise you to think carefully. Women like you are a dime a dozen, but once you leave me, no one else will want you. I didn't get angry. Instead, I laughed and walked out of the bureau. The sky was gray when I stepped outside. As if it was about to rain, Lila was waiting outside with the Tibetan Mastiff. Luis! As soon as Lila saw Luis, she rushed over to grab his hand, interlacing their fingers. Luis didn't pull away. Even when we were newlyweds, Luis had never held my hand like that. He used to say it was too mushy. He wasn't used to it. But now? I looked at their tightly clasped hands. I realized that love or lack of love had always been hidden in these small details. I hugged my bag tightly and started to walk away. Inside the bag was Amy's urn. I was planning to lay Amy to rest at the cemetery. Amy, sweetheart, don't be afraid. Mommy will be with you soon. Chapter 4. Just before I left, Luis called out to me. Don't say I didn't warn you. But there's no way I'm giving you Amy's custody. Bring Amy to me by tomorrow, or I'll have no choice but to send you a lawyer's letter. I turned to look at him, feeling nothing but bitter amusement. But Amy is already dead. She died on the day you were out shopping with Lila. Are you happy now? At least you saved yourself some legal fees. I turned to leave, not noticing that Lila secretly let go of the leash. The Tibetan Mastiff suddenly charged at me. I was knocked to the ground. The urn in my bag fell out and shattered into pieces. The dog eagerly dug into the bag, licking the scattered ashes. Amy! That's my Amy! I rushed forward like a madwoman, trying to drive the dog away. I scooped up Amy's ashes, crying so hard it felt like my heart was being torn apart. Amy! My Amy! Stop licking! Stop licking! Those are my daughter's ashes. I desperately tried to push the mastiff away, but the beast stubbornly kept burying its head in the urn. I was losing my mind. Lila's voice rang out clearly in my ears. Oh dear, Luis. I didn't mean it. The dog must have been startled by something and suddenly lunged. Do you think it's unwell? Amanda, I'm so sorry. It was just a box of formula. After all, I'm sure Sister Amanda won't mind, right? Luis casually wrapped an arm around Lila's shoulders. It's fine. Just some formula. I'll buy her another box if she wants. That's not formula. Those are our daughter's ashes. Luis, make it stop. Hurry! Don't let it lick anymore. I couldn't pry the large dog off, and I felt a metallic taste rise in my throat. Luis stood by coldly, holding Lila, while Lila's dog licked our daughter's ashes. It's just some formula. What's the big deal about it licking a little? He said impatiently, just like when Amy was waiting for surgery, and he was with Lila, impatiently letting our daughter slowly die. Luis, you bastard. I grabbed the pen at my side and stabbed it into the mastiff's neck with all my strength. Chapter 5. Bowsy! Luis exclaimed, rushing over to pull me away. Amanda, you're crazy. What are you doing? Lila hugged the Tibetan Mastiff tightly. What are you doing? I already apologized. What more do you want? I hadn't even lost my temper, and yet she was already accusing me. I was shaking uncontrollably, my hands covered in blood. It's that beast. What was it doing? Lila dismissed me. I told you. Bowsy didn't do it on purpose. Luis quickly sided with her. Look at yourself. What do you even look like right now? Apologize to Lila and Bowsy. Now. It was always like this. As long as Lila was around, he would always stand by her side. Luis never stood by me. He only looked at me with disgust. I can't wait any longer. Right now. Immediately. Get Amy here, or I'll call the police and have you arrested. What right do you have to even mention Amy? A wave of fury consumed me, chilling the blood in my veins. I lunged at Luis, grabbing him and starting to fight. You bastard. You damned bastard. Give me back my daughter. Give me back my daughter. I hit him, punch after punch. I vented my rage with all my strength. Luis shoved me away, pointing a finger at my face, cursing, Amanda, look at yourself. Do you even look like a mother? Bring Amy to me, or don't blame me for using force. I spoke with a trembling voice. You want Amy? I pointed to the ashes that the mastiff had licked, my fingers shaking violently. She's right there. Go get her. Luis frowned. What are you talking about? Amanda, I know you're upset about the divorce, but you can't just spout nonsense, Lila said, sobbing as she held onto that beast. Luis pulled out his phone. You've lost your mind, refusing to give up custody. Huh, just wait. I'm calling the police right now. Call the police? You killed Amy. What right do you have to call the police? A metallic taste rose in my mouth, and I swallowed it back, my teeth chattering. Amy is already dead. Luis froze for a moment, then quickly shook his head. Impossible. Amy is at our hospital. If something had happened, they would have told me. They called you, but you didn't pick up. My heart pounded painfully in my chest. My poor daughter. Even her ashes were desecrated by a beast after she died. Maybe the sight of me scared Luis. He backed away several steps before regaining his composure. Impossible. Luis frowned. You're lying to me. You must be hiding Amy just to keep me from getting custody. You won't give her to me? Fine. I'll find her myself. I sneered as I watched him. Luis dialed a number. Hello, doctor. Is my daughter still in the hospital? There was a pause on the other end of the line. Luis. You don't know? Your daughter passed away yesterday. Chapter 6. Luis froze. Are you sure? There was a brief hesitation on the other end of the line, and the voice softened. We also heard about it. Please wait. The doctors responsible are currently on leave, and we're still investigating the details. Then hurry up and find out. I sneered, my chest heaving violently. They won't find anything. My daughter died in the hospital, and those incompetent doctors were afraid of retaliation. The day Amy was cremated, they all took leave. By now, they've probably fled far away. Luis hung up the phone. Lila, holding the dog, tugged at his sleeve, her beautiful face streaked with tears. Luis, our Bowsy isn't doing well. Please, you have to save him. Luis paused, then quickly scooped up the dog. Don't cry. We'll find a doctor for Bowsy right away. His gentle tone was reserved for Lila. Luis took a few steps, then turned back to me. I'm warning you. If you spread any more lies about Amy, don't blame me for what I'll do. I let out a bitter laugh, saying nothing more. Luis, what's the point of pretending to care about Amy now? Amy is already dead. I watched with my own eyes as she was sent into the crematorium. You're the one who killed her. You abandoned her for Lila. When I looked up, the gloomy sky had swallowed Luis's figure. I collapsed to my knees, coughing up a mouthful of blood. The blood splattered onto Amy's ashes, mixing with them. At that moment, I seemed to see little Amy standing in front of me, wearing a white dress. I held the remaining ashes in my hands and started to laugh softly. She was waving at me. Mommy, I missed you. I smiled weakly, reaching out to touch that small figure. Mommy missed you too. Amy, sweetheart, don't be afraid. Mommy will be with you soon. Mommy won't make you wait long. Chapter 7. After the divorce, I never went back to that house. I burned all of Amy's belongings and threw away everything of mine. I even cut up all the photos we had together. In short, I didn't want to leave any trace of our relationship. These past few days, my health has been getting worse, and I cough up blood every time. I know I'm about to reunite with Amy soon. Thankfully, I already got the divorce papers. Even in the afterlife, Luis and I will be completely severed. The last thing I need to do is find a resting place for Amy. I chose a peaceful, scenic cemetery for my daughter, thinking that when I die, I want to be buried here too. On the 7th day after Amy's death, I went to the cemetery to pay my respects, but I saw Luis's car outside. Why is he here? Could it be that he realized he was the one who caused Amy's death and came to apologize to her? I walked in, and Luis and Lila were just coming out. Lila was clinging to Luis's arm, sobbing. Luis, do you think Bowsy will blame me for not protecting him? Luis gently patted her head. No, we did everything we could. Bowsy won't blame you. Besides, didn't the feng shui master say that this is a blessed spot? Bowsy will definitely have a good afterlife here. Lila smiled at that, tugging at Luis's sleeve, her tone soft. Luis, I'm so lucky to have you. I watched coldly, feeling nothing but disgust for this pair of scum. Luis, a PhD in medicine, actually believed in this superstitious nonsense, but on second thought, it's not surprising, he'd do anything for Lila. Luis noticed me and instinctively frowned. What are you doing here? That should have been my question to him. He frowned, his tone accusatory. He was just short of accusing me of stalking him. I didn't want to get tangled up with him any further. It's none of your business. You. Sure enough, he was about to get angry, but Lila stopped him. Lila pretended to be kind, taking my arm and pointing to a messy area of the cemetery. Sister, look. This is the private grave Luis had built for our Bowsy. What do you think? Following her finger, I suddenly felt a chill run through my entire body. Chapter 8. All the graves had been dug up. A construction worker stood in front of Amy's grave, and with a single shovel, a cloud of white dust rose into the air. Those were Amy's ashes. I froze in place, a cold rush of blood surging to my head. Lila's voice was sharp and nauseating. Oh my, Sister Amanda. Luis and I searched for a long time before finding the spot. The feng shui master said this place has great energy. My Bowsy will definitely be safe and happy here. Huh? Sister Amanda, where are you going? I broke free from Lila, stumbling as I ran towards Amy's grave. What are you doing? I yanked the construction worker away, my voice sharp with fear. Who told you to do this? My Amy was still so small. She never did anything wrong. Why did even her ashes have to be scattered after she died? I knelt on the ground, gathering the remaining ashes. Gone. It's all gone. Amy, I'm sorry. Mommy didn't protect you. My anger overwhelmed me, and I started coughing again. The taste of blood filled my mouth, and I felt dizzy and lightheaded. The construction worker, startled by my sudden pull, shrank back and looked at Luis in confusion. Luis stepped forward. I told him to dig. What of it? I stared at Luis in shock, my hands and feet going cold. Do you even know what you're doing? You treated Amy poorly when she was alive, and now you've scattered her ashes. I screamed at him in fury. Are you an animal? Luis seemed momentarily startled by my outburst, but then he regained his composure. I warned you. If you spread any more lies about Amy's death, don't blame me for what I'll do. Lies? I stood up, my body swaying slightly, my vision blurred, and I looked at Luis, forcing a smile more painful than tears. Luis, how many times do I have to tell you for you to believe? Amy is dead. She's already dead. She died on the day you went shopping with Lila. Her last words were about you. She wanted to see her daddy. She missed her daddy. You. Smack. Before I could finish, a hard slap landed on my face. I fell to the ground. Luis looked down at me, his jaw clenched tightly. Chapter 9. Sister Amanda, I never expected you to be this kind of person. Lila continued to fan the flames, her voice dripping with false concern. Amy was your own daughter, yet you say such things just to get back at Luis. This is too much. I let out a bitter laugh, looking at the two of them standing before me. I wanted to speak, but my breathing grew increasingly labored, the air in my lungs becoming thinner and thinner. I knew it, I was dying, but how could I die now? Amy's grave was dug up, her ashes scattered. She hasn't found peace yet. I collapsed to the ground, my face pale, trembling as I reached out to Luis. He could save me. He's a doctor. He must know what to do. Help me. Let me live just one more day, even half a day. Let me lay Amy to rest. All I ask is to let my daughter rest in peace. Luis looked down at me with cold indifference, letting out a disdainful snort. Amanda, don't think that pretending to be sick will make me go easy on you. You think I'd believe you? My hand trembled, frozen in midair. Exactly. Lila clung to Luis's arm. Luis, let's go. Don't pay her any attention. This woman is full of bad intentions. My hand finally fell to the ground. Luis, irritated by my presence, even kicked me aside as he walked away. They left, arm in arm. The last thing I saw was Luis's back. He always turned his back on me, even after 7 years of marriage. In the midst of the chaos, I saw Amy skipping towards me, her hair in pretty pigtails, dimples appearing as she smiled sweetly. Mommy, I can finally hug you. Tears filled my eyes as I held her tightly. I felt my body growing lighter, my heartbeat slowly fading. But it didn't matter. Amy, Mommy can finally hold you. Chapter 10. I held Amy's hand, watching Luis and Lila slowly walk away. In the end, I died here. No matter how much regret or bitterness I felt. Amy looked at me sadly, her voice soft and innocent. Mommy, why is Daddy so nice to that auntie? Daddy never smiled at me like that. Does Daddy not like Amy? I didn't know how to explain any of this to her, so I mumbled something that didn't make much sense. Amy, always so thoughtful, gently squeezed my hand. Mommy, don't be sad. Amy knows that both Daddy and Mommy love me. Daddy must love Mommy a lot too. Amy knows that. I held her tightly, and for some reason, tears began to fall again. For reasons unknown, Amy and I remained in this world. But Amy's ashes were destroyed beyond recognition, and even as a spirit, she often fainted. I wandered the world with a fainting Amy in my arms, unseen by anyone, but I could see everyone. I died in the cemetery, and when my parents came to visit, they wept bitterly. When they found out that Luis had seen me before I died, they wanted to confront him, but as soon as they stepped inside, Luis and Lila threw them out. Luis and I are already divorced. I advise you to mind your own business. This is not a place for low-class people like you. Overnight, my father aged considerably, his hair turning gray, pointing at Luis. His hand shook with rage. You scoundrel! You bastard! My daughter just, and you're already with this woman. Do you have no shame? Lila's tone was as familiar as ever. Oh, uncle, you misunderstand. Luis and I are just ordinary friends. We've known each other for 10 years. We can't just give up a decade of friendship because of your daughter. My father trembled with fury. You shameless wretch. He lunged at Lila, ready to fight her, but Luis quickly stepped in to protect her. Dad! I rushed to catch my father, but my hand passed right through his body. I couldn't help anyone. I was just a wandering ghost. My father collapsed to the ground, his ankle instantly swelling. I knelt in front of him, tears falling uncontrollably. When I first married Luis, my parents didn't approve. It was only because I insisted on marrying him that they reluctantly gave their blessing. All these years, my relationship with Luis was strained, but I never dared to tell them. But maybe they noticed how I was growing thinner and thinner, always telling me, it's okay. If you're unhappy, just come home. But I can't go home anymore. I trembled as I tried to reach for my father's hand, but I'm already dead. No one can see me. Chapter 11. I reached out, wanting to massage my father's ankle, but the sight of my ghostly, intangible hand seemed to mock me. Amanda, you're just a useless wandering ghost. Luis looked coldly at my parents. When is she going to stop? Does she think bringing you here to play the sympathy card will make me give her custody? I'm telling you, it's not happening. Amy is my daughter. There's no way I'm letting her grow up with a madwoman. My mother supported my father, her voice hoarse, but Amanda can't fight for custody anymore. Luis hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. What do you mean? He seemed to sense something, instinctively grabbing my father's collar. What do you mean by that? In all our years of marriage, this was the first time I saw Luis with this expression when it came to something related to me. It looked like he was afraid of losing me. That seriousness was almost enough to make me doubt. Maybe he really does care about me, but how could that be? My father pushed Luis's hand away. Suddenly, my father's figure seemed to hunch over, and the stubborn old man's eyes reddened as he looked at Luis. She's dead. That's impossible. Luis spoke without hesitation. Something that big. There's no way I wouldn't know. No way you wouldn't know? Of course, you wouldn't know, because I died right in front of you. In that moment, when you kicked me aside and walked right over me. Exactly. Lila seized the opportunity to stoke the fire. How could a healthy person just die like that? This is probably another one of her tricks to deceive Luis. First, she spread rumors that Luis's daughter died, and now this old man is here spreading lies about his own daughter's death. No wonder they're related, they're cursing their own child. Luis's face darkened even more. He was convinced this was just another one of my lies. But I really am dead. I watched him from afar. Why won't you believe it? Chapter 12. Luis was even more arrogant than I had imagined. He sent people everywhere to look for me, but they found nothing. He thought I was hiding from him. So in his frustration, he tracked down my best friend, Joanna, tell Amanda, no matter where she hides with the child, I will find her. If she comes back now, I'll be willing to forgive her. Otherwise, I won't give her another chance. Still the same threatening tone. All these years of marriage, Luis never once spoke to me with kindness. Even now that I'm dead. Joanna's eyes were swollen and red as she threw my death certificate in Luis's face. Take a good look. Amanda is dead. I've already helped her parents to register her. As if shocked by Joanna's words, Luis staggered back several steps before steadying himself. Impossible. I just saw her a few days ago. There's no way she could just die like that in a matter of days. His voice was full of agitation. It must be fake. Luis tore up the certificate, turning his anger on Joanna. You're in on this with her, aren't you? You set up this whole scheme just to take Amy's custody away from me, didn't you? Joanna looked at him in disbelief. Amy? You dare talk about Amy? Your own daughter was gravely ill in the hospital, and instead of saving her, you went shopping with Lila. Even after Amy's death, you couldn't leave her in peace. Do you know what you did? You let Lila's dog lick her ashes, and then you dug up her grave to build a tomb for Lila's dog. Joanna grew more emotional as she spoke, her eyes reddening even more. Do you know where Amanda died? She died in front of Amy's ashes. Impossible, Luis shouted. He seemed genuinely distressed, using all his connections to find me, as if by doing so, he could prove that Joanna was lying. But what good does that do? Luis turned the entire city upside down, but he never found any trace of me. It was only then that he finally realized he would never find me again. Chapter 13. Lila tried to comfort him. Maybe Sister Amanda and Amy have already left the city? Amanda couldn't bear to part with her child. Maybe she's already taken Amy and ran far away. Even though I'm dead, Lila is still trying to smear my name. She secretly investigated me. She contacted doctors in other cities and saw my cancer diagnosis. She also saw Amy's death certificate. She knows we're both dead. The dead can't speak, and so she gets to dictate what's true and what's not. Luis didn't say anything, but he still didn't give up looking for me. I don't understand why he's still so stubborn. When I was alive, he didn't love me. I was just the wife he married to spite Lila. For 7 years. He never once smiled at me. His heart was always with Lila. Otherwise, he wouldn't have abandoned Amy's surgery for her. He didn't love me, so he certainly didn't love my child. That's why, from the day Amy was born, he never spent a single birthday with her. Amy cried to me more than once, asking if Daddy didn't love her anymore. I didn't know how to explain it, so I could only hold Amy and cry in silence. Over time, Amy stopped asking. Amy slowly became more obedient, but my heart bled. So why is he still looking for me? Luis, who are you trying to fool by pretending to be a loving husband? That night, the doctors who had fled to another city were brought back by him. On them, Luis found Amy's death certificate and my cancer diagnosis. It was all written there, clear as day. I have less than 10 days to live. Luis is a doctor. He knows exactly what that means. A thin sheet of paper fluttered to the ground as Luis took a few shaky steps back, his eyes unfocused. How could this be? How is this possible? These past few days, he even wondered if I had taken Amy and fled the country. But what he never expected was that I was truly dead. Amy and I are both dead. From beginning to end, no one ever lied to him. Dead is dead. Amy died the day he went shopping with Lila. I died in the cemetery. And at the moment I begged him to save me. In his life, there were only 2 times when he watched someone die without helping. Once, it was his daughter, and the other time, it was me. Impossible. Fake. It has to be fake. No matter how much he denies it, it doesn't change the fact that I'm already dead. The overwhelming pain consumed him. How did they die? One was my daughter, the other was my wife. Why am I the last to know? Luis descended completely into madness. Chapter 14. It was only then that he finally remembered I was his wife. And Amy, she was his own daughter. But what does that matter now? We're both already dead. I stood by, coldly watching Luis. The doctors he had brought back were now trembling with fear. One of them stammering, Luis. I truly didn't know you were searching for your daughter. I thought Miss Lila had already told you that Miss Amy and your wife, they both. His words trailed off into a stutter. Luis didn't look at him. His mind was completely blank. The doctor continued to babble. We tried calling you back then, but you didn't answer most of the time. We even tried calling from different numbers. Miss Amy was crying so much, asking if you weren't coming. Your wife was also diagnosed with cancer. She held Miss Amy, sitting alone in the hospital. Luis, we really thought you knew. Luis stood there, stunned and unmoving. I also called him countless times that day, but he hung up on me every time. Not long after that, his only daughter closed her eyes forever. He crouched down, covering his face as he started to cry. I watched him coldly, feeling strangely calm. I don't know how long it was before Luis, broken and desolate, returned home. Since Amy was hospitalized, the front door had rarely been opened, but for once, Luis came back here. Over the years, Luis had seldom returned home, leaving only Amy and me to depend on each other. Now that I'm gone, everything in the house has gathered a thin layer of dust. Luis walked through the house in a daze, noticing the family photo on the coffee table, now covered in dust. In the photo, Amy and I were smiling happily, and even Luis was smiling for once. What a warm and loving family. Luis gripped the photo tightly, his eyes reddening once again. He suddenly remembered the day I collapsed, begging him to save me. He had kicked me and stepped over my body. He crouched down, burying his face in his arms. What have I done? Yes. What have you done? Luis, what have you really done all these years? Wasn't it just that you didn't love me? Wasn't it just that you missed Amy's surgery because of Lila? How did it end up causing such an irreparable tragedy? But even now that you know everything, what difference does it make? He can't hear my accusations, and he can't see the disgust on my face. Luis just kept calling my name over and over. I was wrong, Amanda. I really know I was wrong. Please come back, Amanda. The room was so quiet that you could hear the clock ticking, just like all those days in the past when I sat here waiting for him to come home. But this time, it's him waiting for me. He'll never find me. Belated affection is worth less than grass. Chapter 15. As time passed, Luis's regret grew into madness. He repeated my name and Amy's name, shutting himself off from the world. Everyone thought he had lost his mind. Lila took the opportunity to come and check on him, but she left without taking her phone. Luis received a call on her phone. The voice on the other end plunged Luis into an icy abyss. It was Amy's attending physician. Listen, Lila, isn't 10,000 too little? I helped you kill Luis's daughter and wife. If he finds out, I'm done for. Huh? Why aren't you saying anything? Trying to play dead. Huh? Don't play dumb with me. If I hadn't told you that Luis's daughter was critically ill and helped you put his phone on airplane mode, how could he have missed all those calls from the hospital? And that grave digging, if I hadn't told you where his wife buried their daughter, how would you have had the chance to make Luis dig up his own daughter's grave and drive his wife to death? I'm telling you, 10,000 is too little. Once you become Mrs. Luis, you'd better pay up. So it was all Lila's doing. She planned everything, killing me and Amy to marry Luis. She regretted leaving Luis to go abroad, and now she was back to take everything from me. Luis clenched the phone, his eyes gradually turning red. So this was the truth behind everything. But it was too late for him to do anything about it. Luis gripped the knife in his hand. Luis, have you seen my foe? Lila suddenly returned, seeing Luis, and froze. Luis, what's wrong? Before she could finish the last word, the phone in Luis's hand dropped to the floor. The screen displayed the recent calls. Seeing the number on the screen, Lila froze. You answered the call? Luis. Luis, let me explain. But before she could finish, Luis had already lunged at her. The kitchen knife plunged deep into her abdomen. In Lila's shocked eyes, Luis muttered, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, Amy, my daughter, and my wife wouldn't be dead." Blood spilled from Lila's mouth. But Luis didn't stop. He kept stabbing her, again and again, into her abdomen. Realizing she wouldn't survive this, Lila dropped her pretense and fought back with all her might. Bullshit! She grabbed Luis by the throat. You're just a fickle bastard. And I took my chance, that's what you deserve. If you were really a man of integrity, how could I have found an opening? Chapter 16. Even on the brink of death, a person's strength can be immense. Luis's face turned a deep shade of blue as Lila choked him, his eyes rolling back. I stood by, watching them, thinking how it was just a case of one dog biting another. Such a commotion quickly drew the attention of the police. By the time they arrived, Lila had already bled out and died on the spot. Luis had lost his mind, covered in blood. He huddled in a corner, muttering incessantly, I'm sorry, Amy, I'm sorry, honey, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I'm a bastard. I'm a bastard. The police handcuffed him. He followed them numbly, getting into the car. It was no surprise that he would be sentenced to death for premeditated murder. To ensure the case was handled fairly, the police conducted thorough investigations. They learned about me and Amy, and through their inquiries, they also found the attending physician who had fed information to Lila. He couldn't escape the law's punishment either. On the day of Luis's execution, Amy, who had been in a deep sleep, finally woke up. She held my hand and said, Mommy, I dreamed that Daddy came to find us. I smiled and held her hand, saying nothing. The sun was rising, and I felt my soul slowly fading away. The wicked had been punished, and my heart was finally at peace. As for Luis, I would never see him again. In the sunlight, as our souls began to dissipate, I looked at little Amy and finally gathered the courage to ask her, Amy, in the next life, would you come and stay by Mommy's side again? Amy nodded. She said, Mommy, no matter when, Amy will always stay by your side. I gently smiled. In the setting sun, we completely dissolved into nothingness.